old footballer. Talk me through it, Lee. Obviously, I've just tried to show everyone that shock leader knot a little bit clearer.
Oh yeah, yeah.
You've caught a couple. One bream, was it, in a skimmer?
I caught 2 bream,
Okay.
two big bream, and a couple of skimmers. Yeah.
So in the 10 minutes that I was away filming that, you've had another couple of decent fish,
Yeah.
3-4 decent fish.
Yeah, we have. Yeah, it's been quite interesting, Rob.
Obviously, you've had a perch. You've had to start that perch.
Yeah.
Have you had any other bits and bobs?
Yeah, I've had a few like bits and bobs. It's not solid with bream and skimmers, and it's not bad. You know, there is an odd chance of them. I tell you what, it's a really interesting day. I think to get the best of it, we're going to have to really think about it.
Right. So what I want to know is your next step.
Well, this is it. This is it now.
Are you going to just plod on?
No, I'm not, because I just feel like the peg's changed a little bit. I don't think they want loads of bait, because I did try putting some casters through, and then I sort of stopped catching, and then I caught, so I do feel it's needed. So I tell you what I'm going to do. Right, I'm just going to put a bit more of a mix in my bowl with a few pellets in, and I'm going to have 3 quick chucks with this just normal large feeder. I'm not going to put the stupidly big one on, and this is the cage version, but I'm going to I've probably put like 30 casters and a couple of bits of corn in.
Okay.
And so there is going to be a little bit more bait. I'm just going to try and make something happen. So by that, I'm not going to chuck it out, leave it. I'm not going to chuck it out and wind it in straight away. I'm literally going to have 3 1-minute chucks.
Right, what's your bite times been?
The bite times are generally between 1.5 to 3 minutes, I've noticed, right? So I'm not expecting per se a bream or anything like that, right? So I'm literally going to put this in, let it hit the bottom. Once it hits the bottom, I'm going to time a minute, and then I'm going to wind it in. Even if I haven't had a bite or anything like that, just because that's going to introduce a little flurry of casters and a little flurry of activity. Now, generally speaking, I don't think that's obviously not how you fish all the time for bream. I say obviously, it's not how I fish all the time for bream. You know, I do want to be more patient, but I feel like it just needs a little impact to bait. But I tell you why I'm not going to chuck out and wind in, chuck out, wind in, because I'm not sure it's that day. I'm not sure that by doing that I'm going to do anything. Whereas I think if I just have 3 what we're going to call quick chucks, I feel like
Where you're actually fishing.
Where I'm actually fishing, I'm not going to cause a big problem to my peg. I'm not going to like really disturb my peg, but I can imagine now that bait is probably not.
If you like this sort of thing, why not check out www.anglingacademy.co.uk.
There's loads of information, really long videos. The detail is absolutely immense. So if you love this, if you love these little clips, check out those longer videos, because they could be just the thing to improve your fishing. It's probably not even finished coming to the bottom. There's still a bit in the water. So before the next feeder crashes in on top of it, which it would be doing now, I'm just going to literally wind it in after a minute.
Minute chalk.
Yeah, 3 of those. A few casters, which means that there'll be a bit of bait there if the fish settle, and then I'm going to put the solid feeder back on, right? Wedge it in nice and firm and plop it dead over the top, nice and tight.
So you've created a cloud which has gathered some fish into an area in your head, and then you're going to plop it in.
Yes.
Come on.
No, I think it was just a snag, but I was just winding. I didn't see a bite or anything, so I just snagged off or something.
So you're going to plop that solid feeder in. That's like the centraliser. That's going to centralise a couple of fish around your feeder and hopefully around your hook bait.
Yeah.
When you chuck this out, I just want to touch on casting, because 50 metres.
Yeah.
I think anything 50 metres and beyond is classed as a decent chuck.
I agree. Yeah.
So you've got to get your casting technique right.
Yep.
The thing that I see a lot of people doing, obviously if they're right-handed,
yep,
I see a lot of people pushing with their right hand rather than pulling with their left.
Yeah, I get it. Yeah.
And hopefully we'll see from what you're doing, your right arm is more of a pivot.
Absolutely.
And your left hand is to pull everything in. That's the lever.
Absolutely. So I like to bring the feeder to about middle of the rod. That's just how I like it. And I look at where I'm casting. The wind's just dropped, so I will chuck it straight at the buoy. If it was blowing left to right hard, I would aim a bit to the left.
So lining the feeder up with your target initially is the way to go.
Correct. And then I'm literally I like to have a gentle swing, and as I bring it back straight, this is my position with everything pointing where I want to cast. Arms nicely raised.
What you've not done there is bring it round in an arc. You've almost hit the rod with the feeder.
That's exactly correct. So you and I both know if you bring it round in an arc, it could be anywhere behind you when you release. Therefore, you won't necessarily cast straight. So I'm literally looking straight at the buoy. I'm going to bring it back. I'm going to use my left arm into my chest, and I'm going to just absolutely bang on the mark.
Okay. So when you finish the cast, to cushion the feeder in against the clip, you're not pointing the rod straight at the, because obviously there's no stretch in the braid.
Correct.
You're bringing it back, letting it hit the clip, and then obviously using the feel of your rod and the softness of the rod to cushion it as you bring the rod forward.
That's exactly right. So that's just like when you catch a ball, you don't just stick your hands out at the ball. You have to try and sort of clasp your hands and cushion the ball, and that's exactly the same with the feeder landing. If you just have your rod pointing straight at it, it'll just bosh in horribly. Whereas you could see that I used the rod to just take the power out of the cast.
So the rod to the side or up in the air when you cast,
up
so
in the air or to the side.
It hits the clip, cushioning the rod, and then you almost let the feeder pull your rod round.
That's right, that's exactly right. So it goes dink bump, and as I feel the feeder falling, I literally just point my rod straight. So if it was really shallow, I wouldn't even get to straight in front of me.
Okay.
You know, I would get to that sort of, oh, donk. But here, obviously, it's taking a while, so the rod ends up straight round.
Right.
So, but that's a really important point, because a lot of people do struggle with their casting, especially when they're looking at some sort of distance. Yeah. So like a little bite there, probably a small fish. That's a minute. Just going to wind it in. I'm having 3 of these. I don't care. I'm not worried about. If I'd have caught a fish, it would have been a bonus.
Yeah, of course.
You know. But this is
just being busy at the minute.
Just being busy.
Would you think about? Obviously, we've got some worms.